Hey, what's up, Algo Traders? Welcome back to the Algo Traders Club. Today I have a great treat for you guys. So I'm open sourcing Agent Zero, which is a template for you to get started actually with your first simplest possible trading agent for Hyperliquid. All right. So this is a public open source version, Agent Zero. Actually, this is from the older curriculum. Sorry, not old curriculum, but from the previous curriculum. But we are moving over to a whole new curriculum starting this week, a whole new basically body of work. But I wanted to get this one. I already made it, so I figured that okay, you know what, I should basically release it out to the public, and then let anybody pretty much clone it, give it to your editor, AI engineer, either Codex, Claude, or Cursor, and you can get started actually ASAP. So the idea is that you basically come here, you clone this repo, right, or this template, I would say, okay, clone this template, and look at the README itself, right? Actually, it's very like self-explanatory. The idea basically was to like, how can I make the simplest like trading agent, which I can pretty much like improve on basically, right? So incrementally, make it better, add little small features to basically fit my needs, right? So if you look at basically this repo, it has start a project with UV, right? So it's very simple. There's only a git ignore, a license file, readme, project, or whatnot, right? You're going to look at the docs. The docs basically have like 3 files. There's the agent.md, the prd.md, and the prompt.md, okay? The agent.md actually tells this is a guide basically for the AI engineer, again, be it Claude Code or Codex or Cursor, right? So we know exactly basically what to do with this particular repo. It will just like go through it and then know exactly how to find the prompt in the PRD. But let's look at the PRD first. So basically PRD is a product requirement documents, right? You can see it here, right? That's what it says here, okay? So what it is like, it's just pretty much like a simple, like the simplest basically trading agent, around like 200 lines of code basically, to basically make it as light and simple and lightweight as possible for you to get started, right? And all you have to do is pretty much in one shot, give it to your editor, give it to your AI engineer, right? In one shot, and it can make an actually AI agent for you, okay? So now you can look at you can actually read it yourself, I would say, right, before you even give it to the agent. Then you can familiarize actually with yourself with the idea itself, right? Okay, and then we have like the aha moment here, actually, why actually this actually exists here, right? So how do you basically like just like basically clone the repo, boom, and get it basically started. The design actually design principles again, right? Make it as simple as possible. No magic, no kind of complicated stuff, right? Very, very simple, right? And with like a dry run function, you're gonna need basically testnet first before you go to mainnet, so you don't lose any money, right? So it's very, very simple, okay? So and it tells you also like actually what Agent Zero is not, right? So this is not a framework. This is not like a production basically system itself, right? But it allows you to basically familiarize yourself with building actually agents for Hyperliquid and doing it as simple as possible for learning purposes and actually again for the community itself, right? And you can go actually here again when you scroll down, it's still in the PRD. You go look at actually the architecture itself, right? And how do you basically go from basically from your laptop to Agent Zero and basically to Hyperliquid. Okay, we are using CCXT, which is a very simple library, which makes it actually very, very simple for us to get to bootstrap our trading agent. Okay, and this is actually, this right here is the entire basically trading system with a trading loop, actually with the loop itself. Okay, the stack is over here. It's basically Python. You can like actually improve it, like have like the newest version, whatever version you want of Python. This one here, you just have to be like 3.10 or better. CCXT, which is like the library again we use for Hyperliquid, and you can find it in the docs itself, right? The Python .env, like for your secrets, like here. Coin curve, which is basically like for detecting ECDSA signing, and we're gonna have to get actually into like this part is complicated, like for the signing side of it, but you don't have to know it again. Your actually AI engineer will take care of it. Okay, or JSON basically to detect basically just on parsing, and then SQLite, right? So nothing too complicated. No basically Postgres, no kind of crazy like databases, right? A simple embedded library called SQLite. Okay, and that's ideal, right? All you need basically for this text stack is just this. It is it actually. All basically these technology here, from Python to CCXT to that end, coin curve, or JSON, and then SQLite. That is it actually, okay? Again, if you look at it actually, it is so simple that the actually structure should be, it's as simple as this, okay? As simple as this, right? You have your agent 0.py, the strategy.py, basically for the simplest possible strategy. So you don't have to like really think about like some crazy strategies to get started. The project actually TOML file to get started, an example env file which you will copy to make your actually that env from, that get ignore, the readme.md, the license, and the data, right? So this is basically the agent 0.db, which is like the SQLite, okay? Basically 8 files, right? And 2 of them are basically for code, and all the other ones basically, you get the app. There's no app, core, test, and all that stuff, whatever, right? Which actually usually makes this stuff very, very complicated, okay? I made it as simple as possible and for you to get started, all right? And what the code actually would look like, basically for the whole agent 0.py, this is basically right here, okay? Right? About like 150 to about 250 lines of code, right? So it's very, very simple, right? So this one actually is basically 40 line actually for the strategy itself, right? Actually, sorry. That was like, so that's the agent.py. Then we also have here the strategy itself. And the strategy itself is basically one strategy, which is the SMA 20, which is like a crossover, which is like a simple moving average crossover, right? And all it does is pretty much like just follow the 20-day moving average, okay? Simple as that, 40 lines, okay? Then we get the configs, right? For the .env, that example, which you will copy over to the .env. It has a wallet address. It has a private, the private key basically for, again, from actually Hyperliquid, not actually your own private key, but a private key basically agent that you will generate from Hyperliquid, okay? And then you have like trading symbol. Right now, we are only going to basically trade BTC USDC. That is it actually, right? Only this basically BTC pair, right? And then later on, once you basically get it running, you can think about how to add more pairs, how to even maybe like trade, RWAs, like from going from crypto to equities to indices to, stocks and, commodities and so forth, right? But at the beginning, I want you to start very, 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 very simple, okay? Dry run is true, which means that actually you are only paper trading. But if you want, you can basically flip it to false, and you should false when you're ready, basically, so you can basically get this to mainnet, okay? And then testnet is sorry, this is actually only for the basic paper trading. And then for the testnet, you basically have testnet is true, so you only basically trading, your agent is only trading on a Hyperliquid testnet. But if you want to get ready, you can basically have it on testnet, set it to basically set it to false, and then you will basically trade on on mainnet, okay? So now we have actually again, this also like other settings basically, right, that you have here, right? So here we have again testnet, basically the combination basically for the 2 safety switches, basically testnet and dry run, and it should basically tells you exactly what the behavior actually is here, right? When you have both true, one false, basically one false, one true, and then both of them false, okay? And then the database itself will tell you exactly how it is stored in the SQLite. So again, it's very, very super simple. So anybody can basically understand this, right? So if you're trying to basically build a Hyperliquid trading agent, I would say this is the simplest way to basically get started, okay? There's no bot state, no peak equity, no daily P&L stuff, blah, 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 right? Nothing actually is there, right? So it's very, very simple, okay? Risk management is here, it's single function, right? And it tells you actually here, also like why actually this is enough for agent 0, right? And then for Hyperliquid, like the gotchas as well. But then at least we can talk about this later. Once we basically get into the details, or if you have any questions, you can post them in the group itself or the chat itself, right? So somebody can basically maybe explain some of the gotchas, or I actually get more experience, okay? And then for the quick start, tells you exactly basically how to get started, right? You basically clone this repo, CD into it, run UV sync, right? And make sure you actually also have UV installed on your computer. And it's a very simple way very simple, right? You copy basically .env, that example, to the .env, and UV run Python agent 0.py. It is this simple basically, right? So within an hour, I would say, right, you can pretty much log your first signals and your first basically trade either on testnet or basically on mainnet. Okay. So now the idea basically is to go from the idea is to basically go from this basically simple kind of a agent 0 to basically building a full Hyperliquid operator. Okay. So that's actually the entire idea actually here, right? And then you can go ahead again and read the rest of it yourself, but it's pretty much very, very straightforward, okay? And everything is here. Tell you actually how the project TOML file works, right? What actually needs to be there, and the change logs or whatnot. This actually changed like recently, but you have pretty much everything you need within this single file. Okay. Now we go back, and then we also have the prompt file, right? And this is basically prompt you can actually use for Claude Code again, for Codex or Cursor, or whatever is your basically favorite editor or your favorite AI engineer you can use for the prompt, right? But the idea is like here, you come here, and if you look again in the README itself, right, the main directory, all you have to do pretty much, is, where do I have this? Excuse me. All you have to do is basically just copy this, the one-shot instruction. Just come here, copy this, and paste it into your editor. Okay, it's simple as that, right? So you have like it will tell you exactly. It will tell you basically your AI engineer how to run this stuff, right? You say, hey, read the docs PRD MD and the docs prompt MD in full, right? Follow the prompt exactly as is actually, including the discipline section and phase poses. The canonical spec is that PRD MD. Do not add features that are not inside the PRD itself, right? So it's very, very strict itself, okay? So before writing any code, summarize the PRD in 5-7 bullets, right? Philosophy, omissions, dry run, testnet, defaults, graduation, Hyperliquid operator, blah, 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 right? Confirm that Python is actually 10, treat at 10 or higher or newer. And then we have basically with UV and Git are available, right? Wait for confirmation. First of all, making sure that basically you got like all these three things basically installed, Python, UV, and Git, right? Pause after each phase and show diffs before continuing, okay? So you can basically verify if you like. What if you want, actually, you can also like do the, if you use Claude Code, if you're familiar with like skip permissions dangerously, you can do it as well, meaning that actually you want to have it just in one shot, basically get it done, okay? But this is very, very, very straightforward, right? Well, basically once you get it, you basically cd into agent 0, type in Claude, and then fire up Claude, and then basically it runs, okay? And then you can do like this, right? And actually you can basically either basically copy this, give it to the agent itself, right? Or you can like, like I said again, you can just like you can actually even just like literally just basically copy like clone this repo. You can basically clone this repo, right? You basically clone this repo, open it locally on your computer, and then your agent actually will know exactly what to do with it, right? Because everything is fully documented, basically, right? From the main README that is here, right? From the main README to the agent.md, the PRD document, and the prompt itself. Everything is like basically self-contained, right? You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is pretty much just make sure that stuff is installed on your computer, and you can basically follow it and approve whatever the agent is doing, and you can have an agent running within, I would say, like a few minutes to within, I would say, under an hour. Or if you really need to install like all these packages, like basically Python, UV, and Git and all that stuff, maybe it might take you actually a couple of hours. But I promise you, if you just follow basically the README, you can have this agent running within under an hour for sure, right? And then from there, you have a basic agent running. And then from there, you can start iterating and then improving it and then build whatever your heart desires on Hyperliquid. All right? I hope you have fun and happy hacking.